everyone, Jamie Madison here. Welcome back to my channel. So to make this beautiful little spinner bee card, I am going to be going in with the July card kit from Simon Says Stamp. This is called Be Yourself, and I'm going to take 3 of these little bees out. 2 of them look kind of similar, so I just took the 3 that definitely look different. And I'm going to be stamping these on my Bristol smooth paper using my VersaFine in Onyx black ink. I am going to stamp these 3 times because I want that ink to be really wet so I can go in with my embossing powder. This is the Recollections Clear Embossing Powder. And I'm just going to go ahead and coat my little bees, and then I'm going to heat set these so we can start watercoloring. Now, I did say I stamped these on Bristol Smooth, so be extremely careful when you're doing watercolor with Bristol Smooth. This paper is not intended for heavy water use. It will pill on you and it will not look right. So just be aware and be careful that you're being very careful with how much water you are putting on your paper because of how much it can absorb. This paper was not made for watercolor. So I am going in with my Magello. I wanted to kind of test how much I can use on this page. I went ahead and stamped a whole bunch of bees and embossed those. And then I took the 4 yellows that come in this paint palette, and I'm just going to start with the lightest and work my way into the darkest, which is almost a honey color. So when I'm doing my bees, what I'm doing is I'm focusing on a light source, which is going to be to my right. I always end up having my light source normally to the right. I'm right-handed, and I feel like the light source is always on the right. You can have your light source anywhere you want or not at all. So what I do is I add a little bit of color, and then I go back in with a clean brush and pull some of that color back up if it gets too dark. Now Bristol Smooth, like I said, is not made for watercoloring. It's more made for watercolor markers and like zigs and Artezas, not much for watercolor directly to the page. So I have to be very careful or this watercolor will get messed up very quickly. So thankfully these are small images and they don't require a whole bunch of color. I did do this one bee in the center with the black and then the yellow. Going forward on all the bees, I painted them yellow going to black, so yellow will be right under his neck because you couldn't see his hands with the black there. So in the future, whenever you see these little bees, they will be the opposite of this little guy. I just love the way these turned out. The color was so nice and rich, and it just gave me the pigmentation that I was wanting. So I went ahead and fussy cut out all of my bees, so they're all up there in the corner. I grabbed a piece of pattern paper from the pack that came in the July kit, and I'm just going to measure out how big I need this paper to be, because I want to do some stamping on it, and I want to make sure that the stamping is going to be centered into my card. I'm going to go in with these honeycombs, and I went ahead and taped my pattern paper down so it wouldn't move whenever I am stamping with this, because I'm not using a stamp positioner, I'm just using my acrylic black. I went in with my VersaFine again, and this ink dries really quick on pattern paper because it just absorbs right in. Unlike Bristol, it sits on top. So I don't really have to wait around for it to dry. I went in and just stamped a whole bunch of honeycombs in different areas. I just wanted to give this background a little bit of something else as well. I wanted to include the black from the bees being so dark, and then you also have the yellow from them. So I thought this pattern paper worked perfect for what I was wanting to accomplish. After I had all of my honeycombs stamped, I went ahead and cut my lines to make this an A2 size card. I did go a little bit shorter than the A2 size card because I like to have a little bit of a border. Now getting onto the spinner element, Ashley Tucker came up with this design, and she did 2 circles for the center of the card and then a larger circle for your bees or your element to sit on. So that's what I did. I just took my 2 smaller dies and cut out 2 smaller circles, and then I took the next size up and cut that out for my bees to sit on. I had to take out that center circle. As you see, I just used a little bit of washi tape to pick that up. And now I have my bigger center circle. That's the one that you're going to see the bees sit on. And then the two smaller circles will go underneath to help that element spin easier and not get caught on the pattern paper underneath it. It's kind of a cushion for it to spin easier. I did try 3 of the circles and 3 was too many, so 2 is the magic number on that. I went ahead and adhered all of my bees using my Tombow glue. And then I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the card together. This is very simple to do. Don't think it's very hard. Anybody can do this. All you need is some circles and you're good to go. So I took my smallest circle and I put it towards the middle, and then I lined my bees up with that smaller circle to make sure that their heads were not going to be outside of my frame, because then you don't want their heads being on the outside of the card. I mean, you could, but I didn't want that. I went ahead and took some foam tape and I doubled it up, and I just went on the inside of that circle that I drew with my pencil. You don't want it to be too tight because then your element won't spin very easily. But you don't want it to be too loose either because then it's going to rock around. So just kind of stay right there on the edge of that line that you drew. I went ahead and added the rest of my foam tape in the center, so that is where my sentiment is going to be set. I went ahead and added those 2 circles that are going to be going underneath to cushion my spinner element. And now my spinner element can spin, but we need to lock it in place with a top, I guess a lid as you would say, and that's going to be your sentiment. I went ahead and took this other piece of pattern paper and cut that out to the circle that would match the inside, and I stamped "You're the bee's knees" with my VersaFine as well. I gave that a second to dry, then I went ahead and popped that up on my card. And as you see, it fits perfectly. It still shows the bees, and my bees still have some little wiggle room to move around for them to spin easily. And I'm going to test it out, and they spin perfectly. This little card actually spins really fast, but I didn't want to go too quickly on the camera because then it doesn't look like they're really moving. I went ahead and took a black card base with a white inside, so it's black cardstock on top of a white base, and I added that to my front panel. So now my card is assembled. Everything's working great. They're spinning beautifully, and I just need to add the little bit of the extra details on it. So I went ahead and put some glue with my Tombow on my card, and I'm going in with my crystals. These are Pretty Pink Posh Marigold, and I think these look like honey. These are beautiful. And you guys know I'm a sucker for crystals. I love crystals on all the cards. Those are my new favorite sequins. So anything that has crystals on it, I am all for. So I went ahead and adhered a couple of those onto the card to kind of bring that yellow element to the background, because the black kind of has more overtake on that. So that just gives it a really nice yellow to black balance. And then after that, we're going to start working on the inside of my card. So I went ahead and taped down my card, and I'm going in with those same honeycombs from the very beginning, and I'm just stamping those in little patterns around my card's border on the outside, because you got to have room for your sentiment in the center. Then I took some gold washi tape. This is from Recollections. This came in a little 6-pack, I think it was, and I thought the gold brought in the honey element for the card. I thought that were really pretty. And I went ahead and put 2 stripes of the gold down since we have 2 honeycombs down. And then I went ahead and trimmed off the excess. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the center. Because we stamped on the front, "You're the bee's knees," we had to go with something that complemented that. So I put "Sweet as can be." So "You're the bee's knees" and "You're sweet as can be." So I thought those went perfect together. And I went ahead and stamped my name on the back of my card so everybody knows who made this when they get sent to them. It didn't come from Hallmark. It came from me. So I just love the way this turned out. I did another one of these cards, and I used Ashley's sizing for hers, which is more of the big square card. This one was nice and sweet. This was more of like something I think I'm gonna give to my niece. But yeah, you can do it in a normal A2 size card, or you can do it in a larger 5.5 card. So there you have 2 beautiful cards with spinner elements. Thank you so much for joining me today. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye!